Type 1, the perfectionist. I always are these I always think of these as the reformer. There's different types, different names.
Yeah.
But the perfectionist, and that is a fantastic explanation for a type 1. I once taught a business course in a violent offenders prison in Houston, Texas. This was probably 7-8 years ago. And I taught on the Enneagram. We talked about the Enneagram. And they had already understood the Enneagram. We went through and said, any type 1s, any type 2s, any type 3s. I think there were 100 violent offenders in the room. Every Enneagram type was represented pretty evenly. Might have leaned more toward 8s than others, as you could expect. A lot of 3s, a lot of 4s, crimes of jealousy and passion.
Mm-hmm.
No 1s.
Really?
And they said in the history of the class, there had never been a 1.
That doesn't surprise me.
Congratulations, 1s. You
Rock on,
you will
ones.
never go to prison.
That's right. Principled, ethical, reliable, conscientious, all of those good things.
Well, you have a description here. Meticulous, hardworking, and reliable. 1s are motivated by a need to perfect themselves, others, and the world. All right, what are the do's? If you've got a 1, if you're saying to yourself, oh my gosh, Nancy in my office is definitely a 1. What should we remember when interacting with Nancy?
Yeah, so you definitely want to leverage a 1's remarkable skill for spotting things that are wrong, errors, mistakes.
And I've known a lot of 1s. None of them are annoying to me. It's because this sounds like a controlling personality kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of 1s. I like them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's always important for people to realize that there are 3 levels of health.
Right.
Within each personality.
So
right?
there are annoying 1s out there.
Absolutely. The less self-aware you are, the more problematic your behaviors can be. So think of it this way: every number has a superpower.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
But too much of a good thing is not good.
Right.
Right. So if you over-rely or emphasize a particular skill or gift to the nth degree, it becomes a liability, not an asset.
Right.
Right. So if you are, for example, a perfectionist, you have a tremendous gift for improving things. Right. I actually like to call them the improvers. Right. But when they get unhealthy, they really become rigid, inflexible, perfectionistic, people who believe that their way is the only right way of accomplishing tasks or of doing things, high internal standards against which they judge their own behavior and performance.
They're hard on themselves, just like they're hard on everybody else.
They are harder on themselves than they ever are on other people.
Yeah, that's important to remember, to have some grace and compassion.
Absolutely.
So practically, I've got a 1 in my staff meeting. Am I, after announcing a project or talking about it, do I pull them aside and say, hey, do you see any blind spots in this that you think we could actually do better?
They love it when you ask them, how can I improve on this project, this idea?
Wow.
They love it.
That's their superpower.
It's their superpower.
Yeah, and we might as well bring it in and have the company benefit from that superpower.
Yeah, leverage their ability to spot mistakes and improve things.
All right, do that.
Yes.
Don't do this.
Well, you just hit me on one thing that I wanted to hit you or to remind you about, which is you did just the right thing with that 1. Never criticize a 1 in public.
Ooh, okay.
Always, pull them aside to, say, I think we could have done this a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? Now you publicly,
because they'll take it personally, even though criticism is hard for everybody. But if you do that with anybody in public, it's a little bit difficult.
Yeah.
You got to read the egos in the room, but
for example,
especially
like 8,
1s.
not so hard.
Oh yeah, 8s will take it. Isn't that weird?
Yep. You could do it in front of an audience and they'll take it.
Yeah.
Right? Because they want the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth all the time.
Right.
All day long.
Even about them?
Absolutely.
As long as it's not disrespectful or demeaning or position them as weak.
Well, yeah, because they want to remain in control of situations, and you can't remain in control of a situation unless you know all the news, whether it's bad or not, right?
Right.
So back to 1s.
Okay.
The thing that you don't want to do really with 1s is to allow them to put off or start completing a project for fear they won't do it perfectly. So they'll procrastinate.
So they'll procrastinate.
Absolutely. And it'll confuse you because they're usually very conscientious and hardworking. Yeah. But if they're staring at a screen and they're going like, I don't know, this isn't going to be, I want to write, the great American novel starting at sentence 1. You know what I mean? No rough draft. It's got to be perfect from the get-go. So what do? You stare at the screen waiting all day long, right? Another don't is don't let a 1 kind of redo other people's work because it wasn't up to their high standards. And don't
because
let
that's going to affect the whole morale of the team.
Oh
You're
yeah,
gonna have
it's
people really
demoralizing.
upset.
Right.
Yeah.
It's annoying. And then the other thing is don't let them check and recheck their work over and over again. And you got to tell them to move on to another task. Then they'll resist it first because it's like, well, I don't believe in good enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But actually in business where you got to do some moving, you got to get going, right? Good enough is a good mantra.
Yeah. Man, if you're a 1 or you know a 1, this is really gold.
Yeah.
It is. By the way, I forgot to say, if you go to storybrand.com/Enneagram, you can see the notes on this. We actually have a handout that says do this and don't do this with each personality type. Storybrand.com/Enneagram. Enneagram is spelled ENNEAGRAM. You know, something that Tim is not a 1, but he may have some 1 tendencies. I have no idea. But one thing that I've learned working with Tim, our COO here, is he's perfectionist, maybe a little bit of a strong word, but he would do things like on this podcast, he would say, hey, Don, can you punch in this word? You kind of mispronounced it a little bit. Or can you actually re-record that whole 20-minute thing? I need the microphone a little bit closer to you. And I'm listening to it going, I think it's fine, right? Or can you do this? And I just discovered really, really quickly, I mean, years ago, do what he says to do.
Yeah.
Because I'm naturally going to go, let's just get it done. Let's steamroll this thing. Let's just win. Let's go.
Right.
And then, a year and a half later, I'm watching a YouTube video going, I cannot believe that we shot that and it wasn't lit right.
Right.
And it's living in perpetuity. And, and I've learned, hey, and it's the same with my book editors.
Yes.
I turn in a pretty good, clean book. But man, I've learned that I need to slow down, have patience, and actually correct every little thing instead of getting annoyed by it. Because all they are doing is making you look good. And so I would say another superpower of a 1 is they will make you look great.
Oh yeah.
And they will they will tell you your fly's down. And if you want to be an idiot, just walk around and don't listen to them.
Great event coordinators. Great
yeah.
lawyers. Great accountants. You definitely don't want a 4. You don't want a creative accountant. You do not want a creative accountant. You know what I'm saying?
I wasn't in the mood today.
Yeah.
To
Contract
balance
lawyers, really great. I mean, use their superpowers. And remember, when you do, it activates their joy.
Oh, I love that.
Because they're aligned with who they are.
Yeah. And so it's good to look at 1 in the eye sometimes and say, you actually make all of us look so good when you go around and find the beautiful.